You are alive. Good thing.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Committee of the Whole for February 20th, 2024. Time is 11 a.m. City of Maple Ridge carries out its business on the traditional and unceded territories of the Katzie First Nation and Kwantlen First Nation. With that, I'll turn it over to Madam Clerk for give us the lay of the land of Committee of the Whole, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded and will be available to the public for playback on our website in accordance with Council Policy 3.12. Committee of the Whole is the initial venue for council review of information to ensure that council can debate and vote on issues at a future council meeting. No voting takes place on bylaws or resolutions during Committee of the Whole. For voting purposes, council has been provided with voting cards, green for in favor, red for opposed, yellow for point of order, and there will be an opportunity for public input later in the meeting. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. First on the agenda, we'll approve the agenda. May I have a motion, please? Moved by Councillor Dewick, seconded by Councillor Tan. Any discussion, additions, omissions of the agenda? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the minutes for January 23rd, 2024. May I have a motion, please? Moved by Councillor Schiller, seconded by Mayor Rumi. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Seeing that we have no delegations, Madam Clerk, would you be so kind as to introduce our first item for today?
Thank you. The first application is 2023-056-AL for property located at 26060 124 Avenue to subdivide land within the Agricultural Land Reserve. Staff are available.
Good morning. The official community plan designation of this site is agricultural suburban residential. Existing zoning is RS. Oops, I'm sorry. Madam Clerk, this is not the correct PowerPoint. Thank you.
In the report, it does state that it is RS3.
Oh, I'm sorry, I may have the incorrect presentation. My apology. Oh. There we go. No. Yes, okay. It's correct. Yes. Okay. The existing zoning is RS3, single detached rural residential. The subject site is 7.5 hectares. The proposal is to subdivide off the western 10 meters of the property as a right-of-way dedication. This will be followed by an application to subdivide along the ALR boundary into two parcels, one which is 1.71 hectares at the north end of the site and the other 5.83 hectares at the south end. This shows the subject property, and there's a number of water courses that traverse the site from east to west. This is an indication of the air photo, and again, it's the northern portion that is outside of the ALR. The application is for subdivision of the property, which is partially located in the ALR. The initial application is to take off 10 meters along 260th Street along the western boundary. Should this be approved, the intention of the applicant is to then to subdivide the northern portion, 4.23 acres of the property, which is not currently in the ALR. The application would be forwarded to the ALC by council and receives ALC approval. The applicant will need to apply for subdivision through the city of Maple Ridge. It is recommended that this be forwarded to the ALC for their consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Best. May I have a motion to move this forward to our next council meeting? Moved by Councillor Dewick, seconded by Councillor Schiller, and I'll open the floor for questions of clarification. Councillor Schiller, please.
Thank you, Chair. And through you to staff, can you just tell me a little bit more about how the ALC boundaries are developed? So it runs through the middle of the property. At first glance, that might seem like a bit unusual, but I guess just trying to understand a little bit more about how the ALC, how they define those boundaries.
It's often site specific, but usually can follow roads, historically follows natural features such as water courses, significant water courses, or can be based on terrain, but most significantly, it would be based on soil capacity or capability, the quality of the soils, and those other 3 or 4 considerations all considered concurrently.
Okay, so this actually reflects that someone has physically gone out and looked at this particular ground when these boundaries were
Historically,
set up originally.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, thank you. That's just helpful to me. That's my only question.
Thank you, Councillor Schiller. Seeing no other questions, I have a couple questions myself. What is ultimately the plan for the subdivision in the future? Is it to subdivide and then have residential units on the property on the portion that is not within the ALR?
That is correct, as single residents at this point, unless they're actually farming the land and it would be eligible for 2, but standard procedure is a single family house.
Thank you for that. And will these properties be serviced at all, or will they be on well water and septic?
That is yet to be determined.
Mhm. My last question is concerning the numerous waterways. I understand that there are provincial regulations that protect those waterways and setbacks that we have to maintain. But with that concern, how can we guarantee that there will not be any leaching or other contamination, not only during the construction phase, but even afterwards, once the residential units are constructed?
Upon making application for subdivision and building permit, an environmental development permit, the DP guidelines would apply to this site. They would need to, all construction and development would have to be outside of the environmentally sensitive areas, and improvements along those corridors could be requested if there are concerns. Such improvements would include the tree planting, shrub planting that would serve to buffer any leachate into the water courses.
Great, thank you. And with that, I'll call for a vote on moving it forward to council. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Units 102, 104, 106, and 116 located at 22633 Southgate Avenue to allow for an accessory pharmacy use in a proposed new medical clinic / pharmacy in phase 4 of the Bridgewater building.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ms. Best?
But before you is a map of the subject property, which is in the downtown area. Attached is an air photo. The application proposes a site-specific text amendment to allow an accessory pharmacy use in a proposed new medical clinic pharmacy in Phase 4 of the Brickwater building. On April 26, 2022, Council adopted Zone Amending Bylaw 7790-2021, which prohibits pharmacies as an accessory use in commercial establishments within the town center, which have a gross leasable area less than or equal to 700 square meters. The proposed medical clinic pharmacy is approximately 436 square meters in size and will initially be staffed with 4 to 5 general practitioners with future plans for a walk-in clinic and family practice. The proposed bylaw applies to the property and is not tied to a specific owner or operator. There are currently 10 pharmacies located within 400 meters of the subject property, including one existing pharmacy located within the Brickwater building. This shows the location of the additional pharmacies in close proximity and does include the limiting distances from the proposed pharmacy. The recommendation is to give first and second reading to the appropriate bylaw and that this be forwarded to public hearing. Staff is here to answer any questions that council might have given the history of pharmacies in the downtown area.
Thank you, Ms. Best. May I have a motion to move this forward to council, please? Moved by Mayor Rumi, seconded by Councillor Schiller, and I'll open the floor for questions of clarification. Chair recognizes Councillor Dewitt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question is there a plan to revisit this bylaw, given the recommendation to give it first and second reading? Or is this intended to be a one-off?
Through the chair, at this point in time, there's no plan to review the pharmacy regulations that are in the zoning bylaw. When small-scale pharmacies are proposed in locations or with accessory uses that may make sense, the general operational element is to bring it down for council comment. So this is why it's been brought down. Council can opt to move it forward for first and second reading, noting that it is a text amendment. Alternatively, it can be sent back to staff with particular comments from council.
So I don't know if the applicants in the audience or if staff have the answer to this question. What is the intention of this pharmacy? Given there is another pharmacy in the building already, and given we have a number of drop-in pharmacies for certain prescription drugs, which is what started this rationale for the bylaw originally.
Yeah, we are a group of family practitioners. Me and Dr. Maneni own the property with the pharmacist, but it's mainly we have about 16 rooms that we are designing, which can accommodate up to 8 physicians. We're going to have a specialist physician along with primary care physicians in there too. And the pharmacy is intended to have it within the premises because most of the patients have a link with the pharmacist and the doctor. So if it's a different pharmacy, especially corporate pharmacies, patients struggle with corporate pharmacies, the waiting times, the faxes don't go through. Whereas if it's all linked and within the same premises, it's easy. You just click the pharmacy button, it prints in the pharmacist's office, and they straight away can dispense the medication. The time and the smooth journey of the patient is going to be so smooth that they don't have to, especially elderly patients, they don't have to come back. The second thing is we are not intending to, none of the practitioners that we are going to have there will not do OAT, opioid agonist therapy. So this is primary care, family medicine, pharmacy only. And the pharmacist is here. He can answer about the OAT application for the pharmacy college.
Yeah, so even when we apply permission to the pharmacy board to get the new license for the pharmacy, we can always select no under the OAT. Does this pharmacy service OAT? We can always say no on the application. It would just be the regular community pharmacy. And I myself already have a pharmacy in Pitt Meadows with 4 doctors. I have zero OAT patients, although I have license to operate OAT. I never intended to do that. and I've been operating from last 5.5 years, 0 OAT patients. So that's the same practice I want to continue in Maple Ridge as well.
Okay, thank you. So my follow-up question would be for staff. Is there a way council can ensure that that doesn't change in the future? If they opt, if when they apply, they don't apply for OAD, is there anything we can do? And if you don't have the answer, if I could get it for next Tuesday, that would be helpful.
We'll do that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Chair recognizes Counselor Schiller.
Thank you, Chair. It's just more of a general question for staff. So if this project moves ahead and this pharmacy is given the authorization to operate, does that mean that this property can only be used as a pharmacy? Like if in the future a different use was envisioned, would they need to come back to council again? It's just something haven't really seen before where it's this specific.
Through the chair, it would not preclude additional uses from occurring in this spot. We're adding one, we're not taking any away.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Schiller. Chair recognizes Mayor Rumi.
This is actually for our doctors in front of us. Obviously, there's a bylaw there for a reason, but could you explain to us, I know you explained the benefit of having the pharmacy there for the patients. What's the benefit to, like, why would you even put that in there? Is there a financial benefit for you and the doctors? Like, try to help us explain the financial model,
Okay.
because we keep hearing the challenges that doctors face.
So as you see, it's a 4,500 square foot office. It's not just like 1,000 or 200. The current pharmacy the second pharmacy, which is in closest proximity, that's where I'm working right now. But many physicians are following me who moved from UK to here just because I am here. For example, Ravi Maneni and his wife, they're both locally practicing and they live in Maple Ridge. So they're raising their families in Maple Ridge and they want to be local and practice locally. So that space that we have right now in the pharmacy that we are at we are struggling. There's another guy, Dr. Potu, who just joined me from UK. I have 3 others lined up who are coming from UK. So we're going to fill Maple Ridge with as many doctors as possible. With that clinic potentially can accommodate up to 8 doctors. So there is no financial benefit because it's a 4,500 square foot. I couldn't go by myself. I had to have extra people in there. And the model I envisioned is if they are owner partners, they are going to stay there long term and serve the community. Whereas if if I'm bringing some doctor as a expense share, then they might go somewhere else, right? If they are owner partners, like pharmacist is owner partner, Dr. Maneni is owner partner, I'm owner partner. So we share the expenses, we take whatever that is left after the expenses equally, right?
And the follow-up question, so initially we're talking 4 to 5 doctors. And are there specialties? Like what, are they all GPs?
Yeah. The fourth partner, there's 4 partner owned building. Fourth partner is Mangal Sindar, who is a local builder, and his wife, Dr. Sindar, she's an internal medicine specialist. So she's going to be practicing in our office too, eventually when all this happens. So we may have room for 1 or 2 more specialists, but it all depends on who is coming when and when they want to join the office, right?
But you, for instance, that'll be you're working out of that office.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you all just GP, general practitioners?
Mainly GPs, yes.
GPs.
So
Okay.
there won't be any deficiency for primary care physicians in the community.
Okay, I think that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Rumi. Chair recognizes Counselor Tan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to staff. I'm curious, for the pharmacy component of, this is a pharmacy application. Is there a component that requires a walk-in, the pharmacy to have that walk-in component, or is that sort of up to the purview of the individual owner?
There is no requirement.
Thank you very much. I'm also curious, just stepping back and looking at broader sort of like the municipality putting a cap on different business types. Could you just sort of run me through? I'm just looking to understand a little more about the background of sort of the municipality stepping in and like regulating the types of businesses in the town center. Could staff sort of elaborate or just provide me some context of what other businesses we sort of have looked at restricting in the town center area?
Through the chair, for this particular item, it stemmed from a notice of motion in, I believe, at the end of 2021. So this is a council-directed piece of work that staff looked into over the end of 2021 into 2022. So when the bylaw came forward in the first part of 2022, it was looking at it from a land use lens that broke it down by size of the leasable area. So it was intended to continue to permit larger scale pharmacies in conjunction with larger grocery, London drugs types uses, but offered a bit more of a restriction on those smaller scale due to a number of the partially due to what was being experienced in the town center at that point in time, as well as, again, based on that notice of motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to staff. Maybe what would be useful for me in the next council meeting, if staff could sort of just provide the previous report as an appendix to the current report, that would be helpful for me to just understand the history of this item. Thanks so much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Tan, and recognizing that Councillor Dozie has just joined us, I'll extend him the courtesy if he has any questions on this particular application. Seeing none, I'll call the question. Yes.
I have one point to add, if you don't mind. Thank you. One is the pharmacists. Pharmacists will talk about this, and I have a point after that.
Yeah. Sorry. So I'm looking at the stats right now. There are 24 pharmacies in Maple Ridge. Well, you can look at the population. There's on average approximately 4,000 Maple Ridge residents has one pharmacy. Whereas if you look at the other comparable cities, like Pitt Meadows have 2,400 people, they have one pharmacy. In Surrey, they have 3,300 people, have one pharmacy. So Maple Ridge has less pharmacies per population. That's all the comment I want to make.
Thank you for that.
With regards to the question regarding walk-in clinic, so the practitioners that are going to practice in this clinic are not just going to be primary care physicians for their patients only. We're going to have a walk-in clinic. Some physicians may go on and do long-term care. For example, Dr. Ravi Maineni, he does a lot of long-term care homes here. So we all need offices, and we all need that, the linkage. Pharmacist and doctor work hand in hand all the time. If you have a pharmacist next door, it's easy. You can just go there, walk in and talk to the pharmacist. For example, end-of-life care patients. If I get a call at 3:30 on Friday afternoon and I need to get medications arranged for end-of-life care for a patient at home, all that happens within a flash of a second if the pharmacy is next door. That's the most important thing.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving to item 5.3, Madam Clerk, please.
Thank you. The next application is 2021-556-RZ, located at 22020 119 Avenue, to rezone from RS1 to RT2 to permit the future construction of a triplex. And staff are in attendance.
Ms. Best?
This shows the subject property in context. The official community plan designates the site as urban residential, and the proposal is in keeping with the official community plan. The area is predominantly single family in character. The proposed rezoning is supported by the current OCP. The development is located within the proposed low heat transit corridor area plan. However, the proposal does not require the LTCAP redesignation to support the rezoning. The application proposes to rezone the subject property from RT2 to allow the infill of a triplex. Each triplex unit is approximately 135 square meters, which is about 1,457 square feet in size, includes 3 bedrooms, a flex room nook, lower level recreation room, and a private south-facing rear yard. The proposed parking meets the requirements of the parking bylaw by providing 1 enclosed parking stall per unit and a single parking pad access off the rear lane per unit. 1 parking stall shall have rough-in infrastructure to accommodate level 2 EV charging. This application is subject to CAC charges at a rate of $7,400 per unit until the first unit, with the first unit being exempt for an estimated total value of $14,800 or such rate applicable in effect at the rate of approval. Here's a copy of the site plan. You can see at the bottom of the page, parking provided off the lane. Here's the front elevation of the home. It masses as if it's a single family dwelling. Landscaping was reduced as the one of the developer will be his family will be residing in the home, and they wanted functional rear yards. Side elevation. And at the bottom of the page, at the elevation of the garage is off the lane. Just all 4 sides of the home. The zone, it's recommended that the zoning bylaw be given first and second reading. Public hearing for the bylaw is recommended to be waived in accordance with the Local Government Act, as it is consistent with the official community plan. That the following terms and conditions be met prior to final reading. The registration of a rezoning servicing agreement as a restrictive covenant and receipt of the deposit and security. Road dedication along the lane. Approval by the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure. Registration of a covenant for stormwater management, removal of the existing house, a restrictive covenant and appropriate geotechnical report that confirms the suitability of the use. In addition, a site disclosure statement may be required to confirm that the site is free of any underground storage tanks, and that a voluntary contribution in the amount of $7,400 per unit, first unit is exempt, such that at time of third reading be provided in keeping with the council policy in regards to community amenity charges.
Thank you, Ms. Best, and I'll entertain a motion to move this forward to council. Moved by Mayor Rumi, seconded by Councillor Dewick. And I'll open up the floor for questions of clarification. Chair recognizes Mayor Rumi.
Thank you very much for your presentation, and through the chair to yourself. Just curious, because a triplex, is it meant for multiple families, like rentals, or is it just like, I'm trying to understand the nature of what a triplex is.
I was just checking to see through the chair. Just wanted to check to see if the applicant was here, but my understanding is that it's market oriented, so it's strata. So it'd be like a townhouse.
Okay, so there's 3 separate units
Yes,
in there.
with their own main entrances,
Okay.
one off the front and one from each side. Would you like to see the rendering again?
Thank
Okay,
you, Ms. Best. I believe we have the applicant online. If we can get
Oh.
them to answer the question, that'd be outstanding.
Oh, we have Chand Binning from Shore Properties online. Is that the applicant?
Yes. Can everybody hear me?
Yes. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Hello, council. To address Mayor Rooney's comment, basically what we're going to be doing is there are going to be 3 individual dwellings, kind of like a townhouse, but they're not typically when it comes to triplex, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be a strata. So each of them will have their own legal addresses. And pretty much there's just going to be 3 separate kind of dwellings. Yeah. With their own separate backyards and more. I kind of wanted to make this more, especially nowadays, given the way, everything's very tight and condensed, and, it's even in townhome construction, like I wanted to really address this and make it, livable for, a family, growing family as well, with some nice backyard space and front yard space, and actually enjoy some greenery and kind of be grounded with the earth a little bit. So, yeah.
Okay. And as a follow-up question, just might have missed it, but the parking, what's the plan for parking?
So as for the city requirements, basically we have enough sufficient parking for each unit. So we have one for our parking stall, and then we have one on the side as well. There's a development right next door. They've done the same thing as well. So it's been it's worked out well, and there's no issues, and it follows the guidelines, and yeah.
Okay, thank you. All the questions I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Rumi. Seeing no other questions, I have a couple myself. Does this fall within the Fraser River Escarpment?
Yes, it does.
Thank you for that. So considering that we haven't gotten the review results on that yet, the findings, how far will this application be allowed to proceed?
It should be able to proceed through the system as it is, because the geotechnical requirements of a single-family house is not as significant as of the bearing capacity of a 6-story or 15-story apartment. So usually a second phase, there is a policy that outlines the geotechnical requirements within the Fraser River Escarpment area, and under normal circumstances, it should be capable of being met.
Thank you very much for that. Councillor Dewick, are you contemplating a question? No. In that case, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Best. Madam Clerk, item 5.4, please.
Thank you. The next application is 2017-031 DVP/DP for property located at 21333 River Road to permit the construction of 4 residential units in courtyard housing. 17 notices were mailed out and 0 pieces of correspondence have been received thus far on this item. Staff are in attendance.
Please.
Morning.
Morning.
Application information. The existing OCP is urban residential. The existing zoning is RT2, which is the ground-oriented residential infill zone. Existing site area is 0.11 hectares, and the purpose is to permit the construction of 4 residential units designed in the form of courtyard housing. The subject map showing the subject property along River Road. The official community plan context map showing the subject property as urban residential, and the blue color to the north, which is the institutional designation, is Maple Ridge or Ridge Meadows Hospital. And then to the west is a church. The neighborhood context map. This shows the sort of surrounding area. To the east, there is a non-conforming 6-unit apartment. Again, to the north is the hospital. To the west and to the south is mostly single family across the street from River Road. The development proposal is to propose a courtyard development. As mentioned, it's in 2 buildings, each with 2 units for a total of 4 dwelling units. The units combined are just over 700 square meters. Units range from around 1,700 square feet to just over 2,000 square feet and contain 4 bedrooms each. The permitted floor space ratio for the RT2 zone is 0.75 FSR, while the proposal is 0.61. Each unit is provided with double wide garages and 1 energized electric vehicle charging station. And 1 visitor parking stall is provided at the rear of the property. The site plan showing the 2 buildings facing each other in the drive aisle. with a drive aisle separating the two buildings. The courtyard area is located at the rear of each building and includes a couple of features, including raised garden beds and some seating areas for that common area. The proposed variances to reduce the front lot line setback for building 1 from 6 meters to 5.07 meters. And that is to the building face, and 3.31 meters for the projection, which is the deck column. The second is to reduce the rear lot line setback for building 1 from 7.5 meters to 3.3 meters for the building face, and to 3.15 meters for the projection, which is again the deck column. And the last one is to reduce the lot line setback for building 2 from 7.5 meters to 5.05 meters for the building face, and 5.87 to the projection. And the variance plan showing what was just mentioned. And just to note that on the right of your screen is the building 1, and building 2 is on the left of the screen. Some elevations, and this is building 1, the west and the south. The top image is that internal drive aisle view. It's showing the garage entries. And the bottom image is the front of the building. So that would be the River Road facing. Elevations for building 1 continued, east and north. So this is the outer portions of the building on the top one. And the bottom image is the rear of the building, which faces the parking lot for Ridge Meadows Hospital. Building 2 is basically mirrored the same as building 1. And building 2 elevations again, west and north. Couple of renderings. The top left would be the view from River Road, and then there's a couple of internal view renderings. And same with the slide as well. And lastly, the landscape plan. There's a variety of vegetation, fencing, and lighting is used to create the private and semi-private yard spaces for the development. And the report recommendations before you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yu. May I have a motion to move this forward to council, please? Moved by Mayor Rumi, seconded by Councillor Schiller. Questions of clarification? Mayor Rumi.
Thank you for the presentation, and just one quick question. It said it was 1 visitor parking. Is that per unit for a total of 4, or is it just 1 for all 4?
It's just the one for all 4. There's no actual requirement for the off-street parking bylaw to require visitor parking for this location, but the applicant went ahead and did that, recognizing there's no on-street parking on River Road.
Do we foresee any challenges? I know the hospital is nearby, and we know that parking is a challenge when it comes to the hospital. Do we foresee any challenges with parking in relation to the hospital?
I mean, I know it's far enough away to access the hospital parking. There's quite a walk actually from the subject site to the hospital parking if you're thinking that people would be utilizing that site for parking. So I think it would be far enough away that might discourage people from actually parking there.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mayor Rumi. Seeing no other questions, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Yu. Madam Clerk, item 8.1, please.
Thank you. The next item is PL 23-106 for award of contract Maple Ridge Park new playground construction, and staff are in attendance.
Mr. Newfield, please.
Thank you. Good morning, Mayor and Council. I'm here to present and talk about a new playground for Maple Ridge Park. So Maple Ridge Park is the city's oldest, and I would argue probably most popular destination park. We have some vehicle counters that count vehicle movements in and out of our parking lots there. And so in 2023, last full year of data, we counted 800,000 vehicle movements into the parking lots, which equates to roughly 2 million visitors a year. And so that is substantial. And that really frames why we're focusing on a substantial playground investment here. And so our Parks, Recreation and Culture Master Plan recommended doing a wholesome master plan process around Maple Ridge Park. That's including upgrading park infrastructure. One of the main things being the playground, which is nearing the end of its useful and operational lifespan there. And so we started this process in really in summer of last year in 2023. We did a community consultation process and engagement with the residents and park goers. We held 2 open houses in the park. We talked to a number of people just there enjoying the summer days there, and we received about 800 responses to the survey. Through that, our community consultations, they really confirmed that the respondents were preferring to see the Life of Trees concept plan for the playground improvements that we were showing, but also had some really good feedback on the types and ways that we can make this playground more accessible for their families. And so this is the final playground improvement design here, and I'll walk through this in the next couple slides here. This final concept includes some elements of both concepts that we shared, because really a lot of people did like the other one. It's not just that the one was the one and only that they liked. So it has some elements of salmon, which ties nicely into the fact that this is very close to the Alouette River there, and we all know there's a lot of salmon that swim and spawn in this important river. The next slide, I'll just walk through a couple of the features of this new playground. So it features a new accessible rubber surfacing throughout a lot of the main areas here. Some new pathways to and from the parking areas to get to the playground and to the play features there. A number of accessible and inclusive play components, including a group spinner, a freestanding slide, which is a new component for the city. We don't have something as such as this right now. Accessible sand digger and sensory play area for a sand and water kind of creative play. There's a large 30-foot treehouse climbing tower and slide, and a side-by-side dueling zip line here. Some in-ground trampolines for that sensory play aspect of things, and incorporating some rubber salmon sculptures into the play surfacing here as well. We'll be planting about 15 new shade trees in and around the playground, as well as including lounge chair and a variety of different seating options around the play area for the people like myself who love to watch your child play and not necessarily play with them there. And we're also, through this, we really did look at what condition the existing playground materials are in, and we're retaining some of the existing play equipment that still has serviceable life left in it. So a couple of pictures of the components of the new playground, large play tower there. These are some of the accessible sort of seesaw components. This freestanding slide in the top right corner is an accessible and inclusive slide, which is a new kind of component in our playground inventory across the city, and some of the musical and other accessible components here. There's also, as I mentioned, a accessible sand digger in the sand and water play area, and just showing some of the kind of different and innovative seating options. So not just all benches, some rocking chair and kind of lounge chair as well, and a little graphic of what these rubber salmon sculptures look like. And the recommendation per the report, it's a contract award report, so a recommendation is there, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. I'll entertain a motion to move this forward to council, moved by Councillor Dewick, seconded by Mayor Rumi, and I'll open up the floor for questions of clarification. Chair recognizes Mayor Rumi.
Thank you for the presentation. Just have a few questions. This is stuff watching online, hearing what people are saying. Just want to know what have we actually done. So one of them is, what is actually staying with the equipment?
Yeah. Through the chair to Mayor Rumi's question, what I would describe as probably the main play component there right now is staying, and so it is a bit of an older piece. It's got a big metal slide. That playground component is staying along with the large kind of climbing boulder and some of the swings that are in a good condition there as well.
Okay, thank you very much. And then my second question is, we talked a lot about accessibility.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like you to expand on that, as well as when we're looking at the tree house, it's hard to see because we're just seeing a front view. Is it totally enclosed, or like how can parents see what's going on in there?
Yes, through the chair, we did have some really good engagement on the city's social media channels around this question in particular. And so the play tower is what I would call is a ropes-based play tower. So you do have to climb up it. And it's when we're designing and including all these play components, it's we have to make sure that we're providing a good wide range of skill and challenge so that older kids or even youth, older kids and youth are interested and excited and challenged in these kind of play environments as well. And so it's not very accessible to get to the very top, I would say, but there's a lot of other accessible components around here and incorporated into this. And when the other thing to say is there's a lot of inclusive ones, which means that there's people of diverse abilities can play alongside others that may have full abilities. And so there's some different components that incorporate everyone can play together here.
No, and I appreciate that not everything is going to be, especially when you're talking about skill level, but just looking for an answer. Can they actually see in the tower? Or is
Sorry.
that blocked off?
Yes, I forgot to answer that portion of the question. So there, as you can kind of see on the slide there, it is a little hard to see from this angle, but there are some porthole kind of windows. And the slats on the side of this tower are, they're slats, so you can see in. It is, that is on the other sides as well. So there are windows and the slats that you would be able to see in and view, someone or whoever's up there.
Okay, thank you. And then one more follow-up question. So in the second and third picture, we see a little one in a wheelchair next to, what is that?
Yes, through the chair. So that is called an accessible and inclusive freestanding slide. And so what it is it has a transfer platform, which is at the bottom there. So someone in a mobility device could transfer to there, and then instead of a stairs or steps to the top, there's a belt. So it's a rubber kind of belt, and as our playground suppliers and everything have talked to me, is the way that this works is that someone in a chair can kind of bump up the slide thing so that they can get to the top and be included in the play around here.
So I'm just trying to follow the ball here.
Yep.
So that person gets on that thing and it takes them to the top, which is, I'm assuming, the next picture.
Yes.
Then how do they come down?
By the slide, and it's nice
In
and
their
wide at
mobility
the bottom.
device?
Sorry, what?
Not in their mobility device.
No, that's correct.
So then how does that, so they're, okay. Are they going up in the mobility device?
No, so they transfer out of the mobility device and they they bump up to the top of the slide.
Okay.
It's designed so that they can kind of move along there without the need for a large ramp necessarily.
And just again, so they get to the top. Some parents might not be comfortable just letting them go down. Is that slide big enough for the parent to go behind them?
I would say so. It's also wide at the bottom. And so, a caregiver could be there at the bottom and, there's room for them to kind of maneuver and catch or assist on the slide as well.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mayor Rumi. The chair recognizes Councillor Schiller.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to staff. Just assuming that this moves forward through the next few meetings, can you just remind me of the timeline of when this work will be done?
Certainly. Through the chair, our timeline is a spring start. So provided that, this gets all the green lights. Sometime in probably March is when we would start the construction here, and it would likely go until fall. Just given timelines and the need to order and manufacture a lot of these components. Yeah.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Councillor Tan.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to staff. I have a question about the bidding process as well. It's actually fairly similar to the bidding question I asked about a highway contract a few weeks ago. So clearly I need help more understanding the context of this. So I understand that I'm curious why the award to the Canadian Landscape and Civil Services. I understand that the two lowest price bidders tenders were non-compliant. And then past that, like could you remind me how we sort of evaluate the bang for our buck here? Is this the lowest cost bidder process, or did we evaluate, is Canadian Landscape giving us the best bang for the buck versus GPM or Cedar or Frischia? Was GPM offering us like a better quality material, and that's why they provided a higher price, or were they going to get it done sooner? Could someone just walk me through that process again?
Yes, through the chair, I can certainly walk you through our tender process. So this is a tender, and a tender has a very specific way of going about it, I'd say. And so the city has developed a very clear drawing and specification package, which is what all of these proponents are bidding on. And so when we receive the bids, we check to make sure that they're compliant, which means that all of the right documents are there, including the bid bonds, and they've signed all the things, they've checked all the boxes, and everything has been accounted for. And so yes, you're correct. There are two non-compliant bids in there. We'll get into details on specifically why, but there are the two that our purchasing department identified as non-compliant. And then so it's a matter of who has the lowest bid that is compliant with our purchasing policy and all of the things that we requested in here. So it's not a request for proposal, which would have some element of evaluating and seeing what they could offer the city. We've set out our parameters and our specific things that we're looking for, and the contractors have agreed to deliver exactly what we're looking for. And then it's just a matter of determining who has the lowest compliant bid.
Thank you. And through you again, Mr. Chair, I'm curious about, is there a way for us, would there be any additional bonuses that those folks who have put out higher price bids could potentially offer? I'm curious, I guess, to the specificity of the plan that we put out. Do we specify down to the material of the sand or like the type of sand? Is that how specific we get it and really is about a matter of cost, or are there other bonuses that we need to be considering here?
Yeah, through the chair, it is that specific, as we have specified absolutely every component, every type of material that goes into this, including all of the specific play components as well. Through the tender process, there is the ability for contractors to come to the city and provide alternates for our approval and review, but that didn't happen in this process.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tan. And seeing no other questions, I have a couple myself. Unlike you, I'm a hands-on kind of guy. So for the overgrown children that may be exploring some of these facilities, are they sturdy enough to be able to handle the weight?
Thank you, and I'll provide clarifications. I have gone up and down these things probably far too much already, but yes, they are definitely rated for adults to go up and collect your child if you must, as well as children. And just the fact that we're in a public environment, these things unfortunately do see a lot of wear and tear and vandalism over years, and so they're designed with that in mind to really withstand that.
Excellent. And lastly, if my math is correct, we're looking at a total of approximately 3.2 million as an expense for this contract, including the increase in budget and the contingency. Is that correct?
The total expense would be around 2.64-ish. I believe. So that's what was budgeted in the 2023 capital plan, which is about 2.08 million, plus the additional 636,000 there.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Seeing no other questions, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
The next item on the agenda is item 10, Community Forum. Participants in the Community Forum are reminded there should be no discussion of public hearing bylaws which have not yet reached conclusion. Each speaker will have 2 minutes to speak to council. A second opportunity may be provided once all speakers in the queue have had an opportunity to speak. The total time allotted for community forum is 15 minutes. If you wish to inquire about additional opportunities to address council, please contact the corporate officer. For members of the public who would like to speak during community forum, please clearly state your name and city of residence before beginning your comments. If you are participating electronically, please use the raise hand icon, and when called upon, please turn on your camera. If you are attending the meeting in person, please come forward to the podium when the chair invites speakers. Thank you.
Seeing no one in chambers and seeing no hands raised online, we will move to adjournment. With that, thank you all. We are adjourned.
Now we'll go into close.